Hello everybody, it's the Love Aunt here. Today I'm going to be looking at how you can use vulnerability as your superpower in relationships. I'm speaking about this because not many people consider vulnerability to be a strength in relationship. However, it's massively underrated and has a power to it that you cannot even imagine. And it must be that way since so many people are terrified of it. So let's look at this. Power dynamics, they're present in every single relationship at some stage or another. And I've seen it play out many times when two people have got feelings for one another, but they're both too afraid to tell the other person the extent or the depth of how they feel because they fear rejection. And they think that saying it or showing it first, it puts them in a weak position. And they aren't willing to give that power to another person. So they wait for the other person to say or to show something first. And maybe they play some games to try to unconsciously test that person and get the validation and proof of love that they're seeking like that. But when it's done through games, we're playing with fire because we may end up pushing the very person that we want to draw closer to us further away, or in some cases, completely away. When we fall in love and we get closer to someone, it's scary because firstly, we start to have that feeling like we're losing control. And all of a sudden, we like someone so much that we might get hurt. And let's face it, nobody wants to get hurt. But quite honestly, in matters of love, it's very much something that we have to overcome because loving someone is going to make us vulnerable. And in that vulnerability, we're going to get a mirror held up and we're going to get all of our barriers and wounding surrounding love and any pains that we have ever encountered. They're going to get magnified and they're going to be reflected at us. And this is part of the reason of love in the first place, to hold up that mirror to where we're actually blocking ourselves from loving fully and completely. And we get these pain points activated that otherwise would never be seen by us in our lives. Maybe our pain point is insecurity about not feeling good enough or not feeling worthy of love. Or maybe we've been betrayed in the past and that's the wound. Maybe we've lost someone early on and our wound is around being abandoned. Whatever it is, and this all starts in childhood, is going to get amplified tenfold when we involve romantic love. So it's no wonder we're also afraid of being vulnerable because this is raw. This is stuff that we have buried that we don't want to look at. So from childhood, we have developed protective layers upon layers to stop these pain points from being found and activated. But the trouble is, those layers are blocking us and blocking ourselves from love, even though it might feel like it's protection. Actually, it doesn't do us any favors. And let me explain some more. I'm someone that has always been extremely sensitive, and romantic love has always been a truly uncomfortable place for me because I didn't want to drop my guard. And so I was unauthentic many times, because I wasn't able to say or show how I really felt to another person. And then anything that I did do was just reflecting my own insecurity by having this need to play games. I made a decision to not allow my fears of vulnerability and being hurt stop me from loving or connecting with another person again. I decided I wasn't going to hide anymore because I got to this awareness that actually trying to hide vulnerability and showing who I really was in actual fact living out of weakness and allowing that to rule my life. And the truth is that we should all know hurt, unfortunately, is unavoidable in matters in the heart. And it happens in the best of relationships. And it's not saying that it's all or nothing. You know, we don't have days without nights. There's rough and smooth and moments of pleasure. And there's moments of pain. And that's all part of life. But even the pain that we encounter through love makes us stronger anyway, and we get to know more about ourselves. So it's all a blessing in disguise in the end. I'll tell you a quick story. I went to this exhibition years ago, and the artist had made this installation, and there were these naked performers that were going around on roller skates, and they were interacting with members of the public. And I remember that it was so uncomfortable for everybody that was in that room. But I noticed as I looked around that it was uncomfortable for the members of the audience that were clothed and not the naked performers, because literally they were in their power. They were liberated. They had nothing to hide. And us clothed members of the audience were covering ourselves up, feeling all shucks, man. And honestly, I feel that same power and liberation is when we finally have the courage to take off the mask that we're wearing and speak from our true authenticity, which is vulnerable, but it's powerful. And right there is the strongest position that we can ever be in a relationship. So when we decide to be in that position of authenticity and we start dating somebody and we are the ones to show our hand first, there really isn't anything to lose, because two things could happen. Either we find out that that new person that we're dating doesn't feel the same as us, in which case we've lost nothing because we would have been wasting our time and energy anyway on the same conclusion. Or if they like you, and this is very likely, when we open up to another person about how we feel for them, we enable that other person the safe space and the opportunity to be equally as vulnerable with us in return. And I encountered this recently with a girl that I was seeing that was literally cold and as tough as nails. And guess what? She was cold and as tough as nails because she was terrified of being vulnerable, and she was terrified of being hurt because she'd been hurt in the past, and she put up layers and layers of this protection that I was speaking about. She wouldn't reveal her feelings to me, and I couldn't seem to get through to the authentic her. The only way that I did that was by showing her my authentic me and dropping my guard and exposing some of that softness that I have within me and my vulnerability. It takes one person to drop their armor, and it is armor. We can't enter into relationships, two people wearing armor. We simply can't have a true relationship without taking it off and allowing ourselves to be seen in what we perceive is our weakness. But it's not weakness. The truth is, the person that loves us, they're going to admire our strengths in the end, but they will love us more for the vulnerability that we share with them, because it's an opportunity to get closer, because you are trusting another person with that part of you that not many people get to see. And what happens then if we get shunned when we show vulnerability to someone else and we take our mask off? Well, as I said before, we haven't lost anything, and it's absolutely no reflection on you. What that would suggest is that the person that has shunned you, they haven't overcome their own issues with vulnerability. And by you showing yours, it's made them feel incredibly uncomfortable with the stuff that they're trying to hide. And they haven't reached a stage where they're able to be authentic with themselves. You've lost nothing in this case, because any great relationship and bond is built upon mutual vulnerability and trusting that the other person has got you in your wobbles as much as what you've got them in theirs. In truth, raw vulnerability is the real bonding glue of any good relationship. And honestly, it feels so good to be free of the fears of opening up to somebody. Even if another person can't do the same with you, give yourself the freedom to unlock those chains around your heart that are making you heavy, because you'll feel so much lighter and stronger when you release that burden. Let them carry the burden of not being brave enough to be authentic, but give yourself the favor of being free from all of that needing to hang on to power and control. By letting it go, you have it. And if they can't match you or hold you in your vulnerability, then you'd never be able to have an honest relationship with them anyway. And they aren't the person for you, because you need a person that is willing to be authentic and vulnerable. Thank you all so much for listening. If you would like to get help on your personal situation, then you can check out the description box for how you can book an email coaching with me. If you have a suggestion for a video topic that you would like me to cover, then you can email me at theloveaunt@gmail.com. And as always, if you've enjoyed this video today, then please give me a like right now, subscribe to the channel, share, and drop me a comment below and let me know your thoughts on today's topic. I'll see you again next time. Take care.